This video is working off of the previous videos you saw. A real life game is where you have the similar goals in real life as you would in a video game, so you end up seeing the same results. And then I went into why the next video is why a mall would look like a video game to you without even thinking about it. And now we're going to get into early level design. This is 90s. And this was for games like Doom and other stuff. So most of the major levels were made by modders, and they specifically learned to hack into Doom and other stuff. And the guys who designed the video games were like, this is really cool. So they actually released information so that people could make more levels. There were some great books, Doom Gurus, which was incredibly long, and I still don't understand it entirely. It was kind of wordy. But it still worked. And, then you have the Duke Nukem level design book, and then you have the Quake level design book. And there was a lot of books on how to make mods and what to do with them and the materials you needed to do things with. So this was a major thing in the 90s and early yachts to do. And people loved it. They loved making these levels. In fact, really, you didn't buy a game for the game itself. The game was fun, but you bought it knowing that you were going to get a bunch of mods with it. Half-Life is great, not just because it has Half-Life, but because it has Counter-Strike and other games that went with it. In fact, the people who made Half-Life hired out and even bought the name for various mods for Quake and other games so that they could add that to their engine. So Team Fortress 2 is based on a mod called Team Fortress, which was originally released for Quake. We can Day of Defeat, I actually can't remember where it was released, but there were all sorts of games like this, and they specifically were just trying to make more games, more variety, more everything. And a lot of the major video game guys from that era today are in the show because they were level editors. And it was very learn as you go. They're just like, okay, this looks good. An interview with the guy who created the deathmatch levels for Halo said that he didn't know what he was doing. He just had a program and he just threw things together quickly. And it wasn't until Halo 2 that he actually had, the knowledge to put things together. And that was just because he worked at it. The same thing went for most modders. They just went at it until they had something. And because of that, they didn't have a lot of terms or ideas. It was just a work as you go type of thing. And this meant, you wouldn't have terms. You wouldn't have a lot of knowledge to give. Instead, you would give technical explanations on how to do things. So, you'll notice this is the entirety in the Duke Nukem 3D level design handbook on how to make a theme or how to kind of design around a level. Everything else in the book is on technical things like how do you move this up? What does this square do? How can you get this to move? How do you make node systems and stuff like that? They didn't do anything else. And to be honest with you, I saw the same thing for Hammer or for the Quake engine and for the Half-Life engine and for many more level design stuff. It wasn't until the late yachts that people started to release books that were on level design. And even then, some of it is just like, this is what we do, but they don't give a lot of terms. And, it's not that they don't know that this is an architecture type thing. Valve, the people who created Half-Life, have hired architects, and you'll find people with architecture degrees in just about all the major video game design people. Architecture is good, and so long as they understand the goals within the game, they can create some amazing things, and vice versa. They're starting to use level design to show off architecture. The Unreal Engine is famous for creating these kind of videos where somebody takes their design from an architecture design, put it into the game or into the Unreal Engine and have somebody walk around in this new place. And they designed everything so that it looks really cool and nice. And then they make a video out of it and they add all these effects so then people really like the look of it. And to them, that is the perfect way to sell this design. And so, it works back and forth. And they understand this, they know this, you'll see this on their websites, but they don't talk about it openly. And you have to wonder, why not more? This website that I showed you, he's using terms like weenies, and you'll get the term meeting points at other places, and you're like, well, why not more? Why isn't there more? And the answer is, well, they didn't have a lot of terms, and they didn't have a lot of understanding at the time for how to make terms or how to explain it to others. They needed a better way to break it down, and frankly, they were all kind of noobs, just kind of working at it until they got something cool. And some of them were better at it, and some of them weren't. But they didn't really know how to talk about it, even though they had architects. They couldn't say out loud, this is designed based on architecture. And it's a fascinating subject. I wrote 4 articles on the subject. In fact, this is what everything I'm showing you is just from those articles I wrote. And I just wondered, why is this? I once drove with a friend in Oklahoma City, in Missouri. And we were driving around, and I was like, wow, look at that, and look at this. And the guy next to me and a friend was like, yeah, I'm actually an architect. And we were having this conversation about the way everything worked and, the design flow within it. And I was just like, oh, this is really cool. And then I kind of failed him, and I was like, that would be where the health packs are, right there. And by coincidence, all the points where you will find health packs is where you will find chairs to sit down in a level. It's a true story. I thought that was kind of funny, but it's the same goal. This is the place where you recharge. Put a recharging point, if you're a level designer, right there. But why don't they talk about it? Well, we'll talk about that. It's called the Doom problem, and we'll talk about that Friday. So see you all later.